Hello guys, I'm Minecraft with Dummies, and today what I have for you is an automatic brewing system. Now this thing brews potions constantly, so once it's done brewing one batch of potions, it will actually start brewing the next one. So at the moment I'm making a potion of swiftness, and once it's finished making it, it will continue making another batch by taking out the ones that are already in there and putting in a new set of bottles for a fresh batch of potions. These potions will then end up in this chest, as you'll see in one moment. So this is a splash potion of swiftness, so that's what's being added in now. Now as you'll see, as this finally finishes brewing, they'll be taken out and new bottles will go in. So there you go, and the new bottles will be put in, and then the 3 potions that you've just brewed will be down waiting for you in the chest. And as I said, this cycle will just keep on going, so as you can see there's items waiting, so sugar to again make a speed potion, and then the gunpowder to do the splash, and then finally the netherwart to start the whole process over again. Now this thing is actually really small and really easy to build. As you can see, it's really quite simple, and the bit in red is actually just a tileable bit, so that's as long or as short as you want it to be. So if you want a really small compact one with just a few options, you can make it small, whereas if you want one with every single option in the game, so every different type of brewing item, you can actually make it do that, so you could have one for each item you wanted to add in, so each base bit, each additional bit. So I've marked what each of them do on here. So on this one I've just got the melon for healing, the sugar for the swiftness potion, and then the rabbit's foot for leaping. And you can change these around just by flicking these levers, and you'll see the next one that goes in after this batch will actually be a potion of leaping instead of a potion of swiftness. Now these bits are obviously the additions, so glowstone makes it a level 2 potion, redstone makes it duration, and splash by gunpowder. So you can just change these levers to decide whatever you want. So at the moment you can see this one's up, which means it's going to be a potion of leaping, and then this one's up, which means it's going to be a splash potion. So this is the new one brewing, and you can see that there's a rabbit's foot waiting instead of what we had last time, which was sugar. So before I explain how it all works, we're going to do this tutorial, so we'll get onto that now. So to build this, these are the items you're going to need. So you're going to need 2 repeaters, 2 comparators, 3 pieces of redstone, a redstone torch, a dropper, 6 hoppers, a block to build with, 3 chests, a lever, and then just some junk items to fill with one of the hoppers with that I'll show you later. Now to build each additional unit, so what I mean by that is each extra option, you're going to need a redstone torch, a repeater, a piece of redstone, 2 hoppers, and then either 2 chests or 2 trap chests depending on what the one before is, and then also a lever. So we're going to start by building this little bit on the left, which controls all the timing, etc. So you can have your brewing stand with a chest below, and this is where all the items are going to go into. You'll probably want to expand this because this isn't a very big chest, so I'm just warning you now that'll fill up pretty quickly. So you're going to put your hopper down here, and then you're going to put 1 hopper over here and 1 hopper above, and this one's going to be where the water goes into, and this one's going to be where all the items that go into it go. Now you're going to put a block behind it, so and then have a comparator facing out of this hopper, and this is going to take a signal from here. And then you're going to fill this hopper, the one at the top, with the 22 junk items, and you're going to spread them out between the last 4 slots, so leave the first one empty. Now what we're going to do is going to put a block like this, and then a block to this side, and then 1 block going down on the other side, and then fill each of these blocks up with redstone. Now on the block that goes down, you're going to put another block down, and then take a repeater out of that signal, so this will take signal from this redstone when it's on, and then put another block in front of that, so that will power the hopper to block it. Now on the other side we're going to get a torch, and this goes on this block, and this will be also powered when this block goes on, and this will lock the hopper not allowing water bottles in. Now 2 blocks below this torch we're going to place a dropper, so if we go down like this, and then make sure it's a dropper and not a dispenser, and then make sure it's facing into the hopper, and you can do this by shift clicking, that's how you put items onto each other, and then you're just going to put any old item in here, and this is just to create a pulse. So as you can see, the hopper is facing back into the dropper just so it creates a pulse. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go 1 block down from the hopper and then 1 block along, and then this can have a comparator facing out of it to take the signal, and then a repeater just to boost it, and this is going to be going into a block. This is where the actual system allows each of the new items in, like you saw over there where the levers all are. Now before I go any further, I'm just going to lock a few things. So we're going to put a block on the front of here with a lever on, and then power that off, on even, and then this means that items that go in here won't go through, and that will stop the system from breaking while we build it. Also, I might as well put the chest on here, so this is where the water bottles will go in, and it's advisable that you add more space for this because, again, this won't actually take that much storage. Now this bit's crucially important. When we're putting the redstone here, you'll see these bits join up, so you're going to want to put a block above here to stop them joining up. So it's very important that block is there. And now we're going to put all the blocks out, and we can go as long as we want. This signal will only go to 15 because of the repeater, but you can boost that later. So go as far as you want. I'm just going to do 6 for this demonstration. And now what you're going to do is put a block on each of these, and put a repeater on each of these. So this bit's tileable, so each time, as you can see, it's just the same along, and you can make this as short or as long as you want, depending on how many items you want to have options for brewing. Because obviously, as I said over here, you can change which ones you want in and which ones you want out. So it's very easy to do that. Now on each of the blocks that the repeaters are facing into, except this one, you can put redstone torches on. So make sure you don't put it on the first one, otherwise that will ruin things. Now above each of these redstone torches, we're going to put hoppers, but it's very important that we get the direction right for each of these. So basically, what we're going to do, the first one we're going to have facing into the hopper, so that way. Then we're going to have one facing this way, so it's making a little line like this. And then we're just going to go all the way along to the end. Now, again, this bit is very important. These hoppers must face all forward. So like this. Hopefully you can see which ones are going which way. So the ones with torches on are going forward, and these ones are just looping around. So if you can sort of see the hoppers make this sort of arrangement, that's the direction of the travel. Now each of the ones with torches on is where the items are going to go, so you can put chests and trap chests on each of these. So alternate between chests and trap chests for maximum space. So yeah, trap chests on each of these. And then you'll fill these with your items later. So now you're going to put blocks on each of these underneath each of the chests. So this is going to be on the hopper. And then when you put levers on, these will allow you to lock the hoppers behind them. So if I lock this, this will lock this hopper, and that is how the system over here works, and I'll explain that in a bit more detail. And then it's advisable that you actually label up which one each of them do, like I did on the other side, so with item frames, but that is not 100% necessary. Now it's very important that the last one is netherwart. That's a key, it must be netherwart. And on the one before the last one, you actually need to change the repeater to have 3 ticks there, so the order actually turns right. And you'll see if you don't do that, it will go in the wrong order. If, however, your one doesn't do that, because, you know, hoppers can sometimes be a bit glitchy, just change this repeater around until you get it working. But this one seems to have worked every single time for me, so that's advisable. Now, in all the first hoppers, the first chests along, you're going to want to put your base ingredients, so the ones that make it a specific potion. So, for example, sugar makes it swiftness, melon makes it healing, so you want them to the first ones. But then after you've put all them in, you're going to want to put the additions on. So for example, redstone, glowstone and gunpowder, and each of them, as I said earlier, do the different things like level 2, duration and splash. Now we're going to want to get some water bottles in, and these all just go into this chest over here. And you're going to want to fill this up properly, and also some water bottles in this hopper over here. Now, because all the items are currently in the chests, it won't actually work properly because you need one in each of the hoppers. So you can either manually put them in each of the hoppers below, in each of these, or you can just trigger the system once, and then that'll allow one item to go in each of them. So if I just get a button out and then just trigger it once, you can see a pulse went. And if we look in each of the hoppers now, they'll each have one item in, which is what we want. And you do this while all of the levers are in the up position. Now you choose which ones we want, so say we want a swiftness potion, splash, you just put all the others down except for them 2 that you want, so you do these all off. However, you always want the netherwart on, so you probably want to get rid of the lever for that one, because it won't work without the netherwart. Now before this thing gets fully working, you do need to give it a little push to get going. So the easiest way to do that is simply put the netherwart in here, and then the system should start. So now, once I put that one netherwart in this hopper, all the new items will come in for the next batch. But obviously it hasn't started yet because it's still off. So as soon as I turn this on, it will start going. So if I put this on now, see all the water bottles have gone in, and everything's all ready and waiting, and it will make this the next time round. So if we wait a second and watch, it should work perfectly fine. Now you can see the bottles were taken out and the new ones are put in, and these are all just stored down here, and now we've got our splash potion of swiftness, which is exactly what we want, and the new brewing has started again. So we've got the sugar waiting to make it a swiftness potion again, which is exactly what we wanted. And you can always change these, as I said, with all the levers. You can make as few or as many as you want. It's completely customizable, so if you wanted every single potion in the game to be made by this, you could just extend this all the way along. You'd need to do the repeaters a bit differently because this only extends 15, but it's pretty simple to do. Now, one last note before I sign off is I wanted to show you this. Basically, I'm sure many of you know about this, but if you don't, this is just the best way of really filling up water bottles. So this probably is going to be quite slow to fill up and quite slow to get going. It will probably run out of space quite quickly, so it's advisable you put a chest on and then some more hoppers, or obviously in a more efficient manner like this, for example, and do this up. But for filling them up, the best way to do it is, as shown over here, have your top chest have 2 hoppers going into it, and then simply get a load of bottles, and then basically you fill your inventory with bottles, like so. And then when you're in survival mode, and you just hold down right on the water, it will chuck all the bottles in, as you can see, like this. And this just makes it a really, really easy way of filling up the bottles, just because you can just chuck them straight in like this. It's just a very, very simple way of doing it. So basically you just fill your inventory and then get empty bottles and then chuck them in, and then they'll all end up in the chest like this. So yeah, that's just a little suggestion. It's probably the best way of filling it up, although it makes it a little bit harder to access, because in this formation it's quite easy to access all the chests, add new items in and stuff like that. If you're wondering what happens when you run out of water bottles, nothing will actually happen. It just means there'll be no items in here and the next batch won't start, as you can see, so it's basically like it's off. If you run out of ingredients, that's a bit more of a problem, but that should be less likely than running out of bottles. Basically, if you run out of an ingredient, it'll put them all in, and it likely won't be able to finish making the potion, which means the items will just sit in here, and you'll just have to unclog it yourself. So you would have to go up here and take the items out that are in the wrong position, or fill the ones in that are needed. If you fill up this, so for example this is almost full and this is just, and that's a bit of a problem, so you're probably going to want to expand storage by going either down into the ground or along, or something like that. But if you do run out of space, again it will just basically hold the potions in here, and it won't actually start a new batch, because the thing will be full. So it won't actually be a problem, so it'll be as if you've got it off again. And then when you empty it out, you will need to take the bottles out the bottom manually, but it should then start again by itself. So it's pretty much foolproof. There's a few things that can go wrong, but they're pretty easily fixable if you just follow the tutorial. You can always replace it back how I've shown you at the start of the video. So for those who want to know exactly how it works, basically what we have is 22 items of just junk up in the top here, and then there'll be the 1 item of the potion that you're making. And basically when there's 22 items, it only puts 1 signal strength, but when the 22nd item goes in, it makes it 3 signal strength. So basically when it's on 3 signal strength, or 2 signal strength even, this redstone torch is off, which means water bottles can go in for the new batch, and then also this dropper is unaffected because the redstone torch is off. Now this redstone repeater is also on because this is powered, which means the items in the brewing stand don't get taken out because they're being brewed, and you obviously don't want that. Now, as soon as the last item's been brewed, so all the items will be in, and there'll just be a netherwart sitting at the top like there is now, this will actually mean the signal will go down to 1 because there'll only be 22 items in here. And this will mean the signal strength is just here, which means this redstone torch will first go on, which means the new water bottles can't go in because you don't want that to happen while they're being taken out. And a signal will be pulsed down here. On the other side, this redstone repeater will be turned off, which means the water bottles or the finished potions can be taken out and go into the chest. Now, as this pulse goes off, because there's an item in here, this will shoot into the dropper, into the hopper even, and go back in. The comparator will take a signal, go into the repeater, and then this will put a signal to all of these. Now, this signal is the correct length such that one item gets taken out of each of the hoppers and goes into this funnel that basically just takes it into the stand. And so that's what the levers on the front are for, because they also lock the hoppers. So basically, it's a gate such that if this redstone torch, when you get a signal along here, the redstone torch will turn off, and if this lever is also powered, then the item won't be able to go through. However, if you've got the power off, so for example on this gunpowder one, the power's off, which means the hopper is unaffected by the lever. So when this redstone power comes down here, and the redstone repeater powers the torch, an item can be taken out of the hopper. So basically you need the levers to be turned off and a signal to come through here before an item's allowed out. And that's basically how the selection system works, which is pretty simple, pretty easy, and allows you to get to the chest, which I quite like. So it's easy filling up again. And then obviously once it's done brewing, the cycle will start again as the signal strengths change. I hope that clears up how this whole thing works, and I hope you find it easy building this. I hope the tutorial was relatively easy to follow. It's a relatively big build, so maybe might be a bit harder to follow, but a lot of it is just copying. It's only this little bit, and this bit isn't actually too hard to build. There's only a few little bits in here. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you find this useful, and I'll see you in the next video.